morning, good morning, good morning, good morning. It's that time again. It's time for you to sip coffee with Spider. That's me, your good buddy Spider. With my bad back and everything. I'm in quite a lot of pain at the moment, so I'm trying to do a lot of rest. But I'm getting up for you folks to make sure that I give you the news, because that's what we do. I give you the news. So here we go. Let's get into the news. Now, if you're interested in the details, Associated Press has a analysis story. It says how $6 billion in Ukraine aid collapsed in a government funding bill despite big support in Congress. So if you want to find out why, I think it's common sense. You can't keep throwing money at a problem that isn't going to be fixed that way. But that's just me. Associated Press. I can't even begin where to start with this. But judge in Trump's fraud trial was drinking water, not alcohol, as viral videos claim. So people are trying to say that because of certain things that he decided that he was drunk. And I'm kind of like, nah, come on now. People will make up all kinds of things to make somebody look good or bad or defend or attack somebody. And that's just all it is. That's all it's going to be. More from Associated Press, and coming as a surprise to no one, Trump is inserting himself into the messy race to become the next House Speaker. Will it matter? Probably not. You know, a lot of people just give him lip service these days and they pretend that he's super powerful. But the problem is, you got to pander to him because of the voting base. The voting block for Trump is a big one. It's massive. And so, in order to do certain things within the party, unless you want to take several losses in a row to get over it, which they probably should, honestly, but they gotta cater to those people, and so we'll see how that goes. WWG Gaming News: major PS5 exclusive "quote unquote" is dead, claims insider. So let's see what game that is. A major PS5 exclusive is dead, or in other words, is canceled, according to one insider. Um, it's The Last of Us multiplayer game. The standalone multiplayer game was formally announced to be in the works on June 9th, 2022. However, we knew it was in the works long before it was shown. People in the article, not me, because I didn't pay attention. Um, and if I can get rid of some of these advertisements and things that keep popping up all on the news, some of these sites, like, just man, the advertisements are ridiculous. Yeah, a lot of different things, a lot of red flags and things coming up with that. And honestly, The Last of Us doesn't seem like one of those games that should be a multiplayer game anyway. To me, it would feel like it was tacked on. So, but we'll see. Maybe it's not, but I don't think it'll be a big loss if it is, to be honest. More from Associated Press with the bangers today, I guess. Largest Hindu temple outside India in the modern era opens in New Jersey. New Jersey. How very interesting. So, if you are a Hindu and you live in the northeast portion of the United States, New Jersey has the largest Hindu temple outside India in the modern era. So, you can go and check that out. I don't think it's like a pilgrimage thing. I don't know if Hindus do pilgrimage. I haven't looked that deeply into it, but if you do, there you go. TMZ, good old TMZ, but this is kind of a funny story. Prisoners busted with cell phones during National Emergency Alert System test. And this is kind of one of those byproducts of those things because they sent those alerts out that are automatic. They go through, you can't block them. You can probably turn off your sound and things like that, but I think they buzz anyway because I think it's like those Amber Alerts that you get as part of your provider. I think they just go through regardless, so they'll buzz. So people who had illegal cell phones in prison got busted that way. How interesting. Well, that's kind of funny to me, actually. That's kind of funny. The Verge. X users, formerly Twitter, report unlabeled clickbait ads that you can't block or report. And you know, it's not the only site that is having these ads that you can't block or report. There's a lot of other. Facebook is getting bad about these. YouTube is getting bad about these. And a site called Nextdoor, which is supposed to be for small neighborhoods, it's like a social media thing just for small neighborhoods, has ads that you cannot block or report or do anything about. So it's becoming a trend. I mean, I'm surprised Twitter didn't have that already, considering the garbage fire that was Twitter. Now that it's X, I don't see that that's changed too much. It's still smoldering. The trash ashes are still flying off into the heavens. And people still try to defend it or try to say that, oh, it was so good before. Twitter was trash. Twitter was pure trash. And you know it. Just because you enjoy trash on the internet, which sometimes so do I, it doesn't make it not trash and worth saving. Because it wasn't. Give up the dream. More from The Verge. Hackers are selling the data of millions lifted from 23andMe's genetic database. And this is the kind of horror story that keeps me from doing these DNA ancestry tests. Because as interested as I would be to know just where everything falls into place, I don't want my DNA out there. I mean, it reminds me of an old Simpsons episode where a guy says, if you've ever handled a penny, then your government has your DNA because that's the only reason they keep them in circulation. And it's funny, but it could be true. So my DNA probably is all splattered somewhere else in a not X-rated sort of way, so let's not go that direction, on some laboratory table somewhere. But I don't want to give them any help if I can prevent it. You know what I mean? ABC News, and this is an interesting story. I just saw this come up earlier today, and I was hoping it was going to come up on my aggregator, which is how I collate all these news stories for you. Witnesses to FBI hunt for Civil War gold describe heavily loaded armored truck signs of a night dig. This started with a mystery about, oh yeah, we thought there might be some Civil War gold buried here. We called the FBI. Government did some checking. Then they decided to send out a dig team. And it looks like they did this like undercover dig in the middle of the night without telling anybody, recovered something, and made off with it. And now they're not talking about it. It's one of those big, like, it's one of those things that makes you feel like there definitely is weird government conspiracies going on, because it sounds like one of those kind of mysteries. I'm interested. I want to know what the excuse is. I want to know what their excuse is. Let's see what's next. From Reuters, which means you'll have to sign up for them if you want to read the rest of the story. U.S. tackles climate warming HFC industrial gases with new rules. chemicals. Hydrofluorocarbons is what HFC stands for, and I'm surprised I still remembered that and that I pronounced it correctly. Um, it's one of those things that supposedly affect the ozone layer, and I'm not laughing about that. I'm laughing about my cats being crazy over here. I gave them a new box today from a package I got, and they've been loving it since yesterday. But yeah, the hydrofluorocarbons are the next big. Well, not the next big thing. They've been talking about it since the late '80s, honestly, but they haven't been like the main thing. But now they're real big, and it's a main target for dropping greenhouse emissions and things of that nature. So we'll see how that goes for them. So far, the United States climate fight has not been very effective. It's been wavering in popularity here and there, depending on who's in charge and depending on who's voting. And nobody has really stuck to anything as far as commitments and things. So we'll see how that goes. WWG with more gaming news. God of War Ragnarok sequel teased by insiders. So if you are looking forward to a God of War game on the horizon, that might be good news for you. I've only really played the first one on someone else's PlayStation because I didn't have those early PlayStations. I didn't have PlayStation 2 and things like that. I have a 3 now, but it's mostly just so my daughter can play some older games. I don't play PlayStation too often, so won't do me much good. But anyway. Let's see what else we got. A member of the January 6th choir, which apparently they were outside singing, sentenced to 7 years in the Capitol attack. And this is a complicated subject that I'm not going to delve too deeply into. I'm not for big protests like this. I'm not for this. I'm not for the ones that happened during the racial injustice claims and allegations that happened over the last several years during the virus things. I'm not for any of that kind of stuff. I think it was counterproductive, and it all too often devolved into rioting in almost every case. And I think that people should all be held accountable the same way, whether you stormed the Capitol or whether you ran through a city lighting things on fire during the racial protests. I think the effect should be the same. And right now, I kind of feel like the January 6th people are being singled out. Do I think you should go easier on them? Not necessarily, but I think you should have gone harsher on the other people before them. Just my personal opinion there. But it won't happen. Anyway. NBC7 San Diego says the Powerball jackpot hits 1.4 billion. A lawyer says here's the toughest thing for lottery winners. Probably due to the taxes, I would say. Because I think you have to pay all the tax all at once, whereas the payments that you get are they're in chunks. They're not in one giant consolidated payment. You don't get the 1.4 billion all in a one lump sum, if I remember correctly, but I could be wrong. I haven't looked into the various ins and outs of lottery stuff for quite a long time. But if you're interested in the lottery and you're looking forward to winning, you may want to read that article. Reuters says Poland's security depends on its own army, and the U.S. Deputy Prime Minister says. So putting some more responsibility on the United States, just like the Ukraine, just like many others. And I think that's problematic. I think a lot of these countries should focus more on defending themselves if it's such an issue. I don't think the United States should be the world police. I do not. Again, probably unpopular opinion, but that's My take on it. PBS NewsHour. Regulatory gaps leave communities at risk of chemical disasters, advocates say. And that could be possible. We did have that train derailment right here in Ohio. It was nowhere near me, so I don't think we felt the effects of it here. The water flow was different. We didn't, none of that stuff headed my direction. But it's still a thing, and we still have trains that go through here pretty often. There's like 2 minutes from where I am. I could walk there and be down there in less than 5 minutes. Is a set of train tracks that runs right through, and it's pretty active, especially late at night. And we have there's a nuclear plant in the greater region of Ohio. It's farther east, I believe, but it's still in this major area. And we've got things that happen. So, and there's chemical stuff that happens in Akron, I believe, just a little bit north of me, believe. So it's a valid point. It is a valid point that we need more um, checking on these things to make sure everything goes right. Let's see what else we have. Nature says immense relief. Universe mapping Euclid telescope fixes problem that threatened mission. And that's good. They've been finding all kinds of new stuff. They've been seeing light from the earliest galaxies, I believe, and the earliest stars, and kind of piecing things together, which is pretty fantastic. And I would be kind of ashamed to have something like that have an issue. Science Alert with more interesting, cool stuff. Iron atoms discovered quote unquote dancing inside Earth's solid inner core. So there's vibration going on in there. The solid inner core of the Earth is vibrating. Ooh, isn't that exciting? I think it is. Some people might wonder, well, what does that mean? That means that there's seismic activity constantly happening on a atomic level. And I think that's fascinating. I think that says something about how the planet works. I don't think we understand it yet, but I think it says something. And it could lead to more understanding of how earthquakes and various other tectonic plate things happen. That's what I think. And that's good. While the Republicans are all in on the Iowa caucuses, Democrats remove Iowa caucuses from first in the nation status, Washington Post politics say. They're trying to downplay the effect that some states have on nominating candidates and in swaying elections in favor of other things. And I don't know if it's going to work out for them. People are pretty entrenched on these traditions. And I don't know how that's going to be felt in the long term. Mm. Now, this is something else that I kind of been following today. I don't know the exact details. It was breaking news earlier. Reuters, so I can't read it because it's paywalled. Israel's security forces face questions after Hamas attack lays bare intelligence gaps, and I guess it was a major attack. Like there were a lot of casualties. It was one of the biggest attacks by Hamas in recent memory, and so there's something serious going to go on, and I bet there's going to be a reprisal because that's what happens in that part of the world, and I hope it doesn't get worse before it gets better. Associated Press, Mike Lindell, the My Pillow guy, confirms he's out of money and can't pay legal bills because he got slammed during the fight over whether Biden was duly elected or not, which is still going on in the courts, of course, with Trump. And this guy, he's threw so much money at it, basically his company went under. I mean, he's still selling the pillows, but I can't imagine that they're doing very well as a company. I don't know. That's what happens when you get into these big things. Corporations should stay out of politics. Companies should stay out of politics. As an individual, you can have all kinds of opinions all you want. But a corporation itself should never take a stance on issues. Ever. You're in the business to make money and provide products or services. You are not in the business of swaying political opinions. Well, you're not supposed to be. You are, but you're not supposed to be. So stay out of it, is my opinion. IGN with something that always kind of irritates me. Assassin's Creed Mirage players frustrated with chromatic aberration that can't be turned off. In modern games, they have all kinds of effects that make it more immersive, make it feel like you're more involved, more realistic. And so you have your like glare from the sun, and you have things that happen when you're looking at different things to make it look like your eyes are squinty, or you have to clear your eyeballs out. And then there's motion blur and all these other things. And I turn all that stuff off. I don't want to have all that. I want to enjoy the graphics are supposed to be great these days. It's modern era. I want to see the modern graphics. I don't want to see all this stuff. And I don't know if that's a widespread opinion, if I'm unique in that, or if that's something that people are all on the same page about it. But apparently, with Assassin's Creed Mirage that just released, the chromatic aberration is a serious issue. And I would agree if I played that game. Because I don't like that stuff. I don't like it. Rolling Stone, Linkin Park's Mike Shinoda opens new chapter with single Already Over. I've listened to his previous albums, and they were mostly instrumental. So I'm kind of interested to see if he's got any vocal work on this one. I haven't looked too closely at it. He was never my favorite part of that band, but considering that my favorite part of that band is gone and isn't likely to come back, then no, we'll see how it goes from here. It's not really that band anymore. He does solo stuff anymore. There's no real Linkin Park to speak of. But yeah. WWG says popular new Bethesda game is now available for free. What game would that be? Probably not the one I think of. Let's see. What is it? It looks like Ghostwire Tokyo is free. It's only free to download for the month of October, and it's part of Prime Gaming, so it's only for PC. You can get it on console and things, but it's only free for PC with Prime Gaming. I wish they would expand that into console, because I would really take advantage of that, but so far they haven't. Apparently, this is a big hot story. Police have arrested Dwayne Keffy D. Davis for the murder of Tupac Shakur. So I know that's been a mystery for quite a while, and people have said, "Oh, yeah, actually, he's alive. He's this, and he's just hiding out." And this is a big deal for people who are into that kind of thing. I was never a big Tupac fan. I'm not going to say anything negative about him. I don't know. I wasn't. I'm not a big hip hop guy. I do like some, but I'm very picky about it and very specific about it. I'm not into most of it, and I wasn't into Tupac or Biggie or any of those guys. But it's still an interesting story. And if you were a part of that scene and you've been a fan, you may be interested in that story. Maybe get some closure. And that's it. That's all I've got for you. That's all I have. It's a rainy week here in Ohio. It's going to be a rainy weekend, and it's getting colder. I took out my air conditioners today, despite the fact that my back was in bad shape, and I think that made my back worse. Probably didn't have much choice. It would have been pretty cold in my house with those gaps from the air conditioners still there in the windows. So fall is here in Ohio. So get out your spicy drinks. Get out your utensils to get ready to carve them pumpkins and gear up to go from Halloween to Thanksgiving over the course of the next month or so. But don't forget to set out some breakfast for your good buddy Spider, because I could use a good breakfast. But don't start getting me up on the turkey yet, okay? You just wait. I don't even want pumpkin spice so far. If you got coffee, just give me just regular coffee with a little bit of cream, a little bit of sugar, not much, just a smidge, and I'll be pleased. Okay? Okay. So you go put that on the coffee pot right now, and I'll see you.